Week 1 is in the books for the Carolina Panthers, and things did not go according to plan, but they're on to the Valley of the Sun to face off against the Cardinals on Sunday. Before they do, let's take a look back at the good, the bad, and the ugly from the Panthers' Week 1 loss in Jacksonville right here on Locked On Panthers.
You are Locked On Panthers, your daily Carolina Panthers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into another edition of the Locked On Panthers podcast, the part of the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, as always, Julian Council, talking Carolina Panthers with you every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and yes, of course, Friday, your team every day. That's our motto here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Thanks for watching the show right here on YouTube and listening wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. And be sure to follow me, Julian Council, over on Twitter and Blue Sky at Julian Council. Because on a Wednesday, I'm back once again answering your weekly Wednesday mailbag questions. All you got to do is either at me or DM me over on Twitter at Julian Council or at me over on Blue Sky, also at Julian Council, to get your questions in for this week's edition of the weekly Wednesday mailbag right here on Locked On Panthers. Today's episode of Locked On Panthers is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. The Carolina Panthers went down to Duval, and things did not go according to plan for Dave Canales, Bryce Young, and the Panthers as they fall to 0-1 to start off the season, their fourth straight season opening loss. But it's a new week. The NFL is a week-to-week league, and you may not feel great about the state of affairs right now because a lot of the same issues they had last year, unfortunately, were issues they had on Sunday. But it's a new week, a new day, and a new opportunity on Sunday in Arizona to beat a team that they have owned in recent years. But we do need to go back and look at the good, the bad, and the ugly from the Panthers' 26-10 loss down in Jacksonville. And of course, as always, we start off with the good, something to feel good about, and not just some things, plural, to feel good about heading into the second week of the season. Number one, it's Tetairoa McMillan. T-Mac, his debut. He looked good, in my opinion. 5 receptions on 9 targets for 68 yards. We talked to him in the locker room on Monday once the team was back after watching film, and he felt good about what he was able to do, but still felt like there were some plays he left out there. He did confirm, at least in his belief, that he caught that ball. That was a defensive pass interference. He says he caught the ball, so the NFL needs to go back and reward him with the catch. And maybe, I don't know, it's a lot of a wasted time, I suppose, to go and review that, stop the game, especially after over an hour lightning delay. But, go back retroactively. And if the guy caught the ball, then give him the stat and take away the penalty just so he can have it. But they didn't do that. But he feels like he caught the ball. But there's another play later on in that game after Jaycee Horn's spectacular one-handed interception where he felt like he should have got both hands on the ball, and that should have been a touchdown as Panthers turned the ball over on downs. Now, watching the game back, watching the film, the defender clearly had his left arm kind of wrapped up. So maybe that should have been a holding call at the very least, a pass interference. But T-Mac says he should have caught the ball. Didn't happen. Overall, though, it was a solid debut. He had the 3rd most receiving yards by Panthers rookie receiver in their debut. He had the highest grade, according to PFF, of all Panther players, not just offensively, but of everybody who played in that game on Sunday. Had a 78.9 PFF grade. He had a 55.6 receiving success rate, according to Pro Football Reference. So a lot of good to take away from what T-Mac was able to do in his first game. And as the top receiving option, you saw a lot of the trust that Brad Idzik, the Carolina Panthers OC, and Dave Canales, the Panthers head coach and play caller, and of course Bryce Young, have in him as a receiver playing that X spot, especially someone in their debut. So that is something to absolutely take away from that game and feel good about. Also, you should feel good about the cornerback pairing that you have here in Mike Jackson and Jaycee Horn. They were the highest graded defenders, according to PFF, on the defense on Sunday. Jaycee had a 75.4 PFF grade, a 74.3 coverage grade, and of course that unbelievable one-handed interception where Trevor Lawrence, I guess, didn't see him, was looking at Travis Hunter thinking he's going to have an easy chunk play. That did not happen as Jaycee got that interception. Mike Jack also had a great day, 73.6 PFF grade, 78.3 coverage grade. So both of those guys grading out really well in coverage just overall. And then combined, it wasn't like Jacksonville was getting anything off of those guys. They allowed 3 receptions for 28 yards on 7 targets combined, plus the interception that Jaycee had. So of all the defensive issues they had on Sunday, they weren't Mike Jackson and they weren't Jaycee Horn. And that is a good thing to see their play carry over to the beginning of 2025. And another good thing to feel good about, Ryan Fitzgerald, the rookie, making his debut at kicker on Sunday. First NFL field goal attempt was 48 yards. He nailed it. Also made his only extra point attempt, was solid on kickoffs. No concern there at all as far as Ryan Fitzgerald. Dave Canales talked about he's our kicker for now a couple weeks ago. Dan Morgan then said the next day that they're going to live with the ups and downs of a young, talented rookie kicker. But Ryan Fitzgerald had a solid day. So Tetairoa McMillan's debut, Mike Jackson, Jaycee Horn, Ryan Fitzgerald. That is absolutely the good from the Panthers game against Jacksonville. The bad, though, pass rush. My God, where was it? Non-existent. The Panthers had a league worst 12.5% pressure rate and only had 4 pressures versus Jacksonville here in week 1. Now, I'm recording this ahead of Monday Night Football. Maybe Chicago or Minnesota have a worse day. But as far as things right now sit, the Panthers are once again in the cellar of the NFL when it comes to pressure rate and just pressures overall. Again, 12.5% pressure rate on Sunday against Jacksonville and only 4 pressures against the Jags. And it's not all that surprising. I told y'all going into the season, I looked at the additions of Nick Scorton and Prince McMillan as positive additions that Carolina's made, but ones that probably were not going to spell out a ton of success off the edge this year. Moving forward, that can absolutely be the case. And the hope is as they get opportunities and as they go along throughout the season and understand the speed of the game and what they're being asked to do, that naturally their talent will take over and those guys will absolutely be problems off the edge. I just don't think you're going to see a lot of that this season. Of course, DJ Woonem, Pat Jones the second, both those guys getting far more opportunities off the edge than either McMillan or Scorton in that game on Sunday. So we'll see how that moves forward, but this has not necessarily been an area, even when Brian Burns was here the first year with Jerry Rivero, that has been a strength for the Panthers under his tutelage as the defensive coordinator. So pass rush, yeah, non-existent. That is a part of the bad. Bryce Young's turnovers, not good. As I mentioned on Sunday during the game or after the game, 6 career week 1 interceptions for Bryce Young, 7 career week 1 turnovers when you include yesterday's fumble, 30 points have been scored off of those giveaways, including 10 points for Jacksonville on Sunday, 10 points last year for New Orleans, and 10 points the previous season for Atlanta. So every single week 1, Bryce Young has started. The Panthers have, or at least he has given the opportunity for the opponent to go down there and score 10 points. So not ideal, obviously, but his day wasn't nearly as bad as it looked, at least once PFF went out there and reviewed it. They gave him a pretty favorable grade, had a 71.1. And when you do watch the game, while the turnovers are bad, and then he only throws for 47 yards in the first half, like those numbers aren't ideal, but he only had 2 turnover-worthy plays. You don't want to have any at all, of course, but the 2 were the interception thrown to Xavier Legette. And I did ask Dave Canales just about 2 interceptions and what he saw in those plays, as there's plenty of people out there among the fan base who are saying that should have been a pass interference on the Jags defender, or that Xavier Legette, his route, he wasn't running it properly. And Dave said, no, obviously. He literally said, obviously. That was something that Bryce Young should have got right. He should have seen a safety and not thrown that ball. So he put that on Bryce. You guys, if you want to, can put it on XL and on the Jags defender, on the referees, but the coach, after reviewing the film, is putting on Bryce Young. And I felt like also when watching it live, that was a bad decision. And he said it was a bad decision. Then the second one, that was an interception off of Rico Dowdle's hands. Dave said that was more of a chemistry issue. Yeah, the ball wasn't necessarily right there on target, but Bryce trying to find those windows, found that window. So it kind of feels like the receiver being the running back that time, Rico Dowdle should have caught the ball. So overall, The only turnover worthy plays were the interception the first time around. Then, of course, Bryce Young's fumble where maybe he should have slid, maybe not. I don't know. Got a hole in the football in that situation as he was a peanut punch by Foye Oluwakan in that game. So Bryce didn't have the best numbers, but PFF says he played a little bit better than it looked like with their own eyes. And you go back and kind of think about it. Yeah, wasn't ideally the start you would want from Bryce Young, but not nearly as bad as it looked like watching it live. Another bad Xavier Legette did not have a great day. The Panthers need so much more out of him, especially when you look at he was the most experienced of the receivers heading into that game. When you look at just playing time, yeah, David Moore is the oldest in that room, but it's not like he played a ton in this offense last year with Bryce Young. Xavier Legette was out there like from week one as like that third guy. So for him to come in as the most experienced of the trio starting, that including Tetairoa McMillan, Hunter Renfrow, and to play the way he played, that is disappointing for all parties involved. Had a 53.9 PFF grade. You can look back at the game, didn't get his foot down. Can't happen. Decided to take a playoff and not block. That led to an unsuccessful run. Had a 14.3 success rate receiving wise. That's not good. It's only a matter of time, y'all. And I don't want this to be the case, but he's such a fun, lovable guy. Like, it's crazy. Like, just that he sounds the way he sounds, but that's his voice, and that's totally cool. And he's doing a lot of fun things. You love watching him throughout the offseason, going to the Kentucky Derby. He's got the new sandwich he's going to be having at Bank of America Stadium. But if he does not tighten up, y'all are going to turn on him eventually. And I don't think we're that far away. So for his sake and the sake of the organization, the day that we saw from on Sunday, that can't happen again the rest of the year. Now we get to the ugly, the run defense, allowing 200-plus rushing yards for the 7th consecutive game. Dave Canales was asked about this, and he said, just got to run fit. It's not the scheme. It's the guys having to execute, make the plays. But at some point in time, when is it going to happen? I don't know. But, yeah, that was ugly. The linebacker play wasn't great in this game. Now, Christian Roseboom had a 62.7 in his Panthers debut. Trevin Wallace, though, rough start to his second year, lowest graded player for the Panthers on Sunday, had a 29.7 PFF grade and missed tackles, not being able to be there to play assignment football. And that's really what you're being asked to do across the board. And that did not happen. Linebacker play has to be better. And somebody asked me, and maybe let's be on the mailbag on Wednesday, just about the Panthers brought in all these defensive linemen. How's the run defense this bad? It's not just them. You got to have other guys behind them make the plays. And the linebackers didn't do it. Guys in the secondary, not named Javon Merrick, didn't really do it. That is an issue that Carolina's going to fix moving forward. And by guys in the secondary, I'm talking about like the other safety that they had out there, not Jaycee or Mike Jackson per se. And in the last ugly, another week 1 loss. They have now lost 4 straight rather, and 6 out of their last 7. So hopefully next year, Carolina, they can get off to a better start. But that game is over, and now we move on. But we'll also not moving on just yet, as talk about what Dave Canales had to say on Monday during his press conference as he looked back and reviewed the film on how the Panthers can improve off of their 26-10 loss against Jacksonville. We'll talk about that here in just a moment on Locked on Panthers. When the opening whistle blows on a new repair, get your crew moving forward with Supply House. Order today and see parts on your doorstep tomorrow. Over 280,000 plumbing, HVAC, and electrical items from the most trusted brands in the business. Their real-time inventory and honest lead times keep you from punting projects, while their industry-leading customer service always has your blind side covered. Need parts fast for a project? Supply House has next-day delivery. Talk about a game changer. The part finder tools and 3D schematics can save you hours on jobs where every detail matters. Their Trademaster perks like priority shipping and dedicated support make the whole process smoother. Join the free Trademaster program today and score serious perks like priority shipping, lower prices, and a dedicated support line. Visit supplyhouse.com to sign up for free and use promo code SHNFL5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. Real people, real service. The NFL season is back, and honestly, there's nothing better than being in the stadium surrounded by fans cheering on your team. But let's be honest, getting tickets can be a hassle between queues, login screens, and prices jumping at checkout. It's frustrating. That's why I use Game Time, the app that gives the advantage back to fans. Game Time is fast, easy and backed by the Game Time guarantee. You'll always get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time and at the best price. Plus, all fees are included, so the price you see is the price you pay. The app made it super simple. I could even see the exact view from my seat before buying. I love zone deals too. Pick the section, Game Time picks the seats. You save big. Honestly, it's faster, cheaper, and less stressful than any other way I've bought tickets. Download the Game Time app and create an account and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today. Panthers head coach Dave Canales met with the local media on Monday afternoon after reviewing the film for the Panthers' 26-10 loss down in Jacksonville on Sunday, and really just came down to those guys looking themselves in the mirror and having to correct a lot of the issues and mistakes that they made on Sunday. Still believes they have potentially a good football team here in Carolina, and I do think that what we saw on Sunday, while obviously alarming, and like this is the problem. Because you can talk about it's week one, but it's hard to say it's just week one when the Panthers obviously have not been in the playoffs since 2017 and that they have now lost 4 straight season openers. And it seems like every single year they can't even get the season off the ground, and you, the fan, cannot feel hopeful about what this team could be. And it's even worse when you see the same mistakes that plagued them last year carry over to this season. Bryce Young turnovers, not having any explosive plays in the pass game, not being able to stop the run, not being able to get any pressure on the quarterback. All those things you saw a year ago have now creeped their ugly heads once again here in 2025 during week one. Now, it could obviously change in week two. The NFL is a week-to-week league. We saw last year, Carolina went from looking completely inept one week to going out there and damn near beating the Chiefs and damn near beating the Eagles. And even after they started to play well there, they went out there and put up a stinker against Dallas. Then they played well against Arizona, put up another stinker, then played well against the Falcons to close off the season. So the hope is that they can have more consistency, but understand, like weeks like this, as you're fully aware, they can happen. And it's possible that this will happen again. And that's the one thing. Like with Bryce Young, you know Bryce Young is better than what he showed. You know he can play better than what he showed on Sunday. You've seen it. The problem also is you know that he's capable of that performance. And the hope was going into the season that that kind of performance would not happen again in his third year as a full-time starter in Carolina. And, of course, in his second year as a quarterback under Dave Canales. But it did. And Carolina is going to have to move on, look back on Sunday as a learning lesson or a lesson learned, and then move forward. And hopefully for their sake and y'all's sake and everyone's sake really involved, they go out there and win that game on Sunday in Arizona. But in particular, the run game defense, bad. Dave Canales said the issues with the run is a run fit issue and just need to get guys down on the ground. You go back to that play, the 71-yard rush by Travis Etienne, really good block, good play design there by Liam Cohen. That took out DJ Wooden from that game, from that play. After that, it kind of came down to 2 things. One was Trevon Merrick, who kind of got a little bit washed out there on that block as well, but had a decision to make, try to either go outside or go inside, where Etienne eventually went. Now, Travis Etienne did a nice little step to the left before going to that hole, which was not filled by Merrick. So maybe Merrick guessed wrong. Maybe he was kind of blocked out. He didn't make the play. But I think the most egregious thing that happened on that play very clearly was Nick Scott, who was in position to make a tackle, dove at Etienne's legs, and missed. If he makes the tackle, it's a 12-yard game. He doesn't make the tackle, it's a 71-yard game. So that's what he's talking about, run fit issue and needing to get guys down. But you can ask then, why is it that a guy like Nick Scott's out there, considering we know the issues he has in fitting the run and getting guys down to the ground? A great question. And a question that was basically asked by Mike Kay of the Charlotte Observer, who just asked Dave about, you see offensively, a lot of young guys get an opportunity. Defensively, you don't really see a lot of that. And you did not see that on Sunday in particular at safety with Denai Richardson and with Lathan Ransom. Like, why are those guys not getting a chance to play when Nick Scott continuously has struggled to tackle and to help out and run support? Why is he out there? Well, I guess he's out there because Jerry Rivera trusts him. But Dave Canales said that they have had conversations, that they want to get those guys out there. It just didn't happen. And then you're probably asking yourself and me right now, well, he's the head coach. Can he just demand it to happen? Certainly he can do that. But I'm guessing he also wants to allow his coordinators to do their jobs and to make the right decisions. But eventually, yes, you're going to have to just kind of nudge them in the right direction if that's what it comes down to. I do not believe that if Nick Scott gives up plays like he gave up on Sunday, and that's a whole team failure. Let's be honest here. The whole team failed on that play. But if he's going to be a key cog in some of those failures, eventually they're going to move on from him as far as being in that starting role. And the fact, again, that he's in the starting role is a little baffling to a lot of people who watched him last year, watched him the year prior in Cincinnati. But that is the reality as of just one Sunday. That can very quickly change, and we'll see if it does change coming up on Sunday against Arizona. But that's one thing where Dave Canales not playing the scheme. He's not blaming the coordinator. He's just asking the guys to go out there and make plays. And hell, great coordinators out there across the league. Not a single one of them have gone out there and made the plays themselves. They have always schemed the guys to be in position, and Jero, I guess, schemed the guys to be in position. They haven't gotten it done. So the guys just got to make the plays, guys. So I understand the frustration. I totally get it. That's what the coach is saying. He's saying the players need to make the plays. So let's see if they do. And if they don't, will there be accountability? Turk Wharton, injury situation there. He has a hamstring. He will miss a bit of time, according to Dave, said 2 to 4 week range. Not sure whether he'll be on IR. I did see Turk in the locker room this afternoon. Walking fine, but clearly not a guy who's going to be able to play the next couple of weeks. So that's one for Carolina. Cam Jackson, the rookie out of Florida, he was inactive on Sunday. Would guess he would be active. Jaden Crumedy was signed from the practice squad on Saturday. He was out there in a jersey, so I'm guessing that those two guys will be called upon to step up in his absence. Pat Jones II also had an ankle injury on Sunday, but that came back. He's fine. He'll be ready to go on Sunday as well. Ike Ekwonu had a great workout, according to Dave Canales, on Monday, and he expects him to be out there at practice, and it sounds like the expectation also will be that he'll be ready to go against Arizona on Sunday. So positive news there, injury-wise. One last thing, and I didn't really bring this up, I don't believe, on Sunday's show, the 4th and 1 play. After T-Mac was able to get that DPI call, 4th and 1, Carolina decides not to run the ball. They spread them out, and they want to throw. And Dave was asked about whether he still liked the play call, should they done something differently. And he said that they had good matchups. They just have to execute. Now, on that play, you saw Bryce basically just throw the ball away. It felt like Reggie Ball in the rain in Athens, Georgia. If you know, you know. That's what I saw. It was odd because typically you don't see someone throw the ball away on 4th and 1. Now, it's not like the game was over at that point in time, but kind of was, just based off of you really felt like you need to make a play there, score a touchdown on that drive, and bring it within a touchdown. That did not happen. It looked like JT Sanders was available. Apparently, it sounds like Xavier Legette was open at some point on that play. As Dave said, they had the matchups, just had to execute. Didn't happen, and that's when Bryce Young went back to the sideline, slammed his helmet. I will say, though, and we talked about this a lot last year, for someone who came out very early on as a head coach and spokesperson of this organization saying they're going to be stubborn about running the football, it is odd to me that they don't run the football in that situation. You would just think that they would do that, but they didn't do it. He liked the matchup, said they should have executed, but that's not the first time that Carolina's had a 4th and 1 or 3rd and 1, something short yardage wise, and they opted not to run the ball during Dave Canales' tenure. So we'll see if that changes moving forward. But those are some of the updates that Dave Canales had for us on Monday afternoon after reviewing the film from Carolina's Week 1 loss down there in Jacksonville. On Fridays, I give you my keys to victory, and on Tuesdays, we review how the Panthers did with those keys. We'll do that here in just a moment on Locked On Panthers. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love using FanDuel because it fits however you like to bet. Player props, building a same-game parlay, or even jumping in live as the action unfolds. It makes every game more exciting, whether you're watching your team or just keeping an eye on your fantasy lineup. It's quick, easy, and the best way to add a little more energy to your Sundays, your Mondays, your Thursdays, your maybe a Tuesday and Wednesday later on the season, right? And of course, your Saturdays. So are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. On Fridays throughout the season, I give you my 3 keys to victory for the Carolina Panthers heading into that Sunday's matchup. Then on Tuesdays, we go back over those keys and see how the Panthers did win or lose this week, unfortunately. Talk about a loss. And key number 1 was to stop the run. As we all know, that did not happen. The Panthers finished off 2024 season by allowing 6 straight games of 200-plus rushing yards, and they kicked off the 2025 season by now allowing 7 straight games of 200-plus rushing yards. Less than ideal. Jacksonville had 32 carries on 200 yards, 6.3 yards per carry. Travis Etienne, who had that 71-yard rush attempt there in the second quarter, 16 carries, 143 yards on the day. Truly great day for him. Per True Media, the Panthers had a defensive rushing success rate of 56.7%, which was 19th in the NFL in week 1. This is prior to Monday Night Football, by the way. So 56.7% of the time, they were successful against the run. Not as good as last year, but better than last year early on, but that's what they were. 56.7% of the time, they were successful stopping the run, according to True Media. They had a negative 4.59 defensive total rush EPA, also per True Media, which was 28th among the teams that have played in week 1, again, prior to Monday Night Football. So not ideal the way that they have played against the run early on, and of course giving up 200 yards rushing. Again, you can look at success rate, you can look at EPA. What we saw was a team that still showed the inability to run fit, get guys on the ground, and not give up 200 yards rushing. We'll see if Arizona will end the streak or if they'll continue the streak on Sunday. Number 2, take pressure off of the passing game, and I actually thought they did a good job of doing this. Panthers had 25 rushes for 113 yards, 4.5 yards per attempt. Now, 5 of those rushes and 40 of those yards were from Bryce Young. So the Panthers running backs only had 20 carries for 73 yards. That's 3.65 yards per attempt. But they did have a rushing success rate, according to Pro Football Reference, of 60%. And Chuba Hubbard had a 62.5 success rate, which he was one of the top 5 guys among running backs with at least 200-plus carries a season ago when it came to rushing success rate. So looking just at on Sunday, it felt like every time they rushed the ball, for the most part, as long as people were blocking, they were having success, which calls into question again, why on that 4th and 1 are you spreading it out and not running the ball instead? But I looked at how they ran the ball overall. Yes, there's scramble yardage in there from Bryce. I thought that pretty much you got what you're looking for from Chuba. Would, of course, see a little bit more there, but he's not really one of those guys who breaks a ton of big runs. He's one of those dudes who continuously is able to get to 5 yards, 6 yards, whatever you need for the most part on those rushing attempts. So I do think they took some pressure out the passing game, but, of course, would love to see them improve as time goes on. And, of course, the passing game, not necessarily need to lean on the run game every single week if that would be the case. And then the last one also felt like the Panthers did a good job. They protected Bryce Young. That was number 3, protect Bryce Young. According to PFF, the Panthers' offensive line allowed 1 sack on 11 pressures. 6 of those pressures, however, were allowed by Josh Nijman, who was filling in for Ike Ekwonu. He had a 38.4 grade on Sunday. So not great from Josh, who got the call instead of Brady Christensen at left tackle. The good news sounds like Ike Ekwonu will be back out there at practice this week, and then we'll be out there on Sunday starting at left tackle. So 1 week issue, and really didn't become anything that was detrimental to Carolina losing the game on Sunday. Taylor Moton had an 80.8 pass blocking grade. Damian Hunt had a 79.0, and then Robert Hunt had a 79.0. Then Damian Lewis had a 71.0 pass blocking grade, and the 3 combined allowed 3 total pressures, 1 from Taylor, 0 from Hunt, and 2 from Damian. And then Austin Corbett didn't have a great pass blocking grade. I thought the main issue of Austin Corbett was the snaps, which hopefully they'll get figured out. He had a 27.7 PFF grade on Sunday when it came to pass blocking. So going to need more out of Austin Corbett there at the center spot. And then of course, Ike Ekwonu coming back in at left tackle. So overall, when reviewing the keys, they did a good job protecting Bryce. I thought they ran the ball fairly effectively, especially when looking at success rate. The problem was they could not stop the run. And, well, there's other issues as well, like turnovers and the passing game overall on Sunday. So those are the keys of victory. Be back on Friday to give you the 3 keys of victory heading into the game on Sunday afternoon in the Valley of the Sun against the Arizona Cardinals. So we turn the page from week 1 and we head now to Wednesday and a weekly Wednesday mailbag. And we will not talk about what happened on Sunday unless you ask me about it. And I'm sure plenty of people are asking me about how things have played out and the state of affairs. So we'll get to all of that on Wednesday. But in the meantime, be safe, be happy, be whole. As always, keep pounding. And I'll talk to y'all, of course, on Wednesday here on Locked On Panthers.